Hello YouTube, welcome to another one of my Duel Links videos, and today I have for you an Elemental Grace Doriado deck featuring Elementsabers. Elemental Grace Doriado, really cool card, very hard to summon. Cannot be normal summoner set, must be special summoned from your hand by having 6 or more monsters with different attributes in the graveyards. So you need everything, well, I guess everything but Divine, because Divine is not an attribute that most people run. It gains attack and defense equal to the number of different attributes in the graveyards times 500. When your opponent would special summon a monster, quick effect, you can banish 3 monsters from your graveyard, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. Really cool negation effect. It does not work in the damage step though, I believe. So like if you destroy a Fuma and they special summon something, you're not going to be able to negate it. But if they synchro summon a monster, you can banish 3, negate the summon, destroy the monster, which is really good. And yeah, this card, it's very easy to summon. I shouldn't say very easy, but it's way easier to summon in an Elementsaber deck, because all you need to do is have 6 monsters in the graveyard. Not less than that, you know, if you're using your opponent's graveyard as well. So you know, once you have your Elementsaber monsters in the graveyard, you can change their attribute, so you can have all 6. Special summon the Doriado, which on summon is gonna have at least 3000 attack and defense because you'll have the 6. But if you can switch another monster to Divine, it goes to 3500. If you have the Palace of the Elemental Lords, that's gonna gain an additional 200 per attribute. So if you have 7 attributes in the graveyard, that is an extra 1400 attack on top of the 3500, and tie that binds. This monster gets ridiculous amounts of attack. And yeah, I really wanted to try it out at Elementsabers. Everything else is pretty standard as far as Elementsabers go. We have 2 Molehu, which is all I have. I would run 3 if I had 3. 2 Lap. I am running 1 Malo, which I normally don't use in my Elementsaber decks, but this card is really good because you can send 2 monsters to the graveyard, one to activate the effect and the other one is the actual effect. So it's very easy to get your 6 monsters in the graveyard in order to summon the Doriado. I don't have a way of searching Doriado, unfortunately, because anything I thought of was just not consistent within the deck, and I still wanted the deck to be competitive. Elementsabers on their own are very good. Doriado just, you know, helps them out a little bit, although in some situations it's kind of a win more card, but it's still good to try out, you know, with Elementsabers. 1 Nalu, 2 Aina, 1 Makani, and then, you know, you have the 3 Palace along with the 3 Elemental Training. And my choices: 2 enemy controllers, 2 Wall of Disruptions to round up the deck. Tie that binds, really good, because you're going to be controlling multiple monsters and you can boost them all by 100, you know. And yeah, I mean, just a quick deck explanation, nothing too crazy. You guys know how Elementsabers work. Now you're going to see how they work with Doriado. My main goal obviously was to showcase the Doriado in this duels, but I was not able to pull it off on all of the duels that I saved. Even though I did pull it off on a lot of my duels, they weren't very interesting. They were very one-sided matches. So I think I saved 3 replays where you'll see Doriado, this being one of them. But there is 2 where you just see Elementsabers dominate without the Doriado help. So here we're going up against Gravekeepers. They have a pretty standard opening, just 1 set. I don't want to attack into a spy, so I'm just gonna wait, you know, let him do the first move. We're gonna be patient here. There's this Gravekeeper spy is gonna special summon Recruiter, and then he tributes all 3 for Gravekeeper's Oracle. So he's gonna gain all the effects. This card gains attack equal to the combined levels of all the monsters that were tributed. Destroy all set monsters I control, and all monsters your opponent controls lose 2000 attack and defense. So he's getting all the effects, and that ends up being a 3100 Oracle and 0/0 Molehu. So we're gonna flip him face down. We pick up a Palace, so I'm gonna activate Molehu's effect to flip himself face down. That way my attack gets reset, and I'm also putting monsters in the graveyard, which is ultimately what we want. Right now I have 2 in there. My opponent's controlling darks. I just put a light in there, so we have 4 of the 6 attributes that we need. And we're gonna activate the Melehu, flip my lap face down to reset its attack and defense. But once again, what I'm trying to do is just set up my graveyard. Here I'm gonna flip my Melehu face down yet again, and now we have all the attributes. We can finally summon Doriado, activate Tie That Binds, go for the attack. It's a Gravekeeper's Guard, so he spoils the OTK, but he's gonna scoop because I have a spell negation, 2 back row, and a 4000 attack Doriado on the field. This, I believe, was just a normal Elementsaber win. Some of this replays I say because of what my opponent was playing, or you know, what the deck was able to out, which I find interesting. In this case, we're gonna out a Neo Blue Eyes White Dragon. So it's gonna go for Cards of Consonance. White Stone of Legend is going to add a Blue Eyes to the hand, and he's just gonna summon it. Activates King of the Swamp, gets that polymerization. Turn 1 Neo Blue Eyes. Maybe not the smartest choice if I had an enemy controller, but enemy controller is also my only out to this guy. So we're gonna have to go hardcore on the defense. I'm gonna summon my lap in attack position because I'm just gonna use the training to get Melehu on the field and flip the Neos face down, and then I get an enemy controller. So at that point, I almost wish I would have left him in attack position. But if I do that, he can just send an ultimate Blue Eyes from the grave and attack again. So I'm just setting up a wall. Hopefully I can survive this onslaught. Use my enemy controller next turn if I top deck a monster. That is the thought process right there. So we're going to use the Wall of D. This will put him under 4000, meaning that even if he were to attack all 3 times, I would still survive with 300 life. But it looks like he only has the 1 Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon from this skill, because he's not able to attack twice anymore. So we survive. We pick up a Palace. Palace is going to add any Elementsaber. I go for a 1700 beater so I can Ties That Binds, destroy the face down. Econ take. Even if my fill spell wasn't there to give me lethal, I could have attributed the Neo Blue Eyes to summon another Elementsaber from the deck and then go for game that way. But yeah, Econ cheese. Sorry, Kaiba. And then we have a this guy, Kessler, whatever his name is. This is also a replay that I saved just to kind of give a shout out to my opponent because of what he was playing. Very interesting deck. And they're going first, and they're just gonna go in all the way. Dealings, I'm going to discard my Palace because I already have 1 in hand. He's gonna add Lucen into the Void. Gates of Dark World. It's going to discard a Ceruli. Ceruli is going to discard the Lucen. Lucen, when special summoned that way, can summon any fiend from the deck. So we're gonna see Earthbound Immortal. Very nice animation. And yeah, this guy cannot be targeted for an attack. He can attack directly. He can do all sorts of things. So you have to be careful. Luckily for us, we have the Melehu. He's gonna Cosmic Cyclone or Palace. Even though we discarded 1 off of Dealings, we were lucky enough to have a 3rd one, because we are gonna need it against this Earthbound Immortal. But first, we're gonna flip the Lucent face down so we can get rid of it with Melehu. Dealings, we're just gonna put another monster in the grave. Goes for the direct attack. I'm gonna activate my Palace, and now I just have to get bigger than 2800 defense, and we're good. So we're gonna send another monster, flip this really face down, and I'm just milling different attributes so that I can get over the Earth. Tie That Binds, gonna let me get to 3000, destroying the Earthbound Immortal, which I was able to attack because he was face down, and we get the win. And now back to some Doriado dominance. This match was rough. Was definitely a rough one for my opponent playing 6 Samurai. But I'm just gonna let you guys see what I did to this poor Ishizu. We're going first. So we're just gonna set up the usual. We got Palace and Molehu. So we'll be able to flip any monster face down. He commits the Fuma immediately, so because there's no dojo, I can just flip this face down and basically his turn is over. He can't special summon Kisan or anything like that. He can try to draw one, but what is he gonna draw into? Nothing that can help him out. So we're gonna put that face down, turn over. We're gonna summon Malo and mill 2 more monsters to the graveyard. So we're getting set up for a Doriado. We also have elemental training, so we can float any of our monsters. Fuma is gonna special summon a Kizaru. Kizaru is gonna add another Fuma to the hand. That's fine. But look at our attack, 2500 and 2300. Very good, especially since Ishizu doesn't have a skill to boost the 6 Samurai monsters. We're gonna be dealing with 2500 Shien. She's gonna have trouble outing our monsters. So there's a Shien. I decided not to stop it because I really couldn't. If I flip face down the Fuma, he can just special summon another one with Dojo. So we're just gonna let him go all out. Double Shien, that's fine. Again, this is not a threat because she's not running beatdown ties, anything that would boost the Shien. It's just a 2500 beater. Grandmaster does nothing. So on the attack declaration on my Malo, I'm gonna flip face down the other Shien, and what that does is put another monster in my graveyard, so I can just crash with the other Shien. He destroys the Grandmaster, and that's completely fine. We have double Doriado, but first we're gonna flip him face down in case there's some sort of dual wield shenanigans when I destroy the other one. But because I've seen 6 Samurai run Wall of Disruption, we're not gonna take any chances. Activate Elemental Training after we search for another Molehu, just so we have a card to discard. Change that into Divine. We have a full boosted Doriado at 5200 attack, over 2 Shien. Easy win, completely dominated. And we have another 6 Samurai match. This one was a little bit more intense. The player was running beatdown, so it gave me a little bit more trouble. But a very good match nonetheless. We're going second this time, so they'll have an opportunity to set up turn 1 Shien, which is definitely rough for us. But he doesn't. He goes Kizaru set 1. I'm just gonna summon my lap. You know, try to negate a dual wheel or something like that. He sets another back row. I have a Wall of Disruption, so I'm really hoping he doesn't go into Shien, otherwise I could lose. Instead, he goes double Kisan. Can't boost the Kisan because he has beatdown, so Wall of D is going to crash that Kisan. We still have our negation for the dual wheel that we know it's going to be there. So we're going to double search with 2 Palace. It's really cool to just go ahead and spend your field spells because you can get 2 searches in the same turn and you're only going to use 1 battle phase, which is the next turn, which is really nice. So we're going to switch the lap into defense position, go for the attack. Doesn't activate any of his back row. Summons the Fuma once again. Once they commit the normal summon on Fuma, we can go ahead and flip that face down. Tries to activate dual wheel. I'm going to negate the dual wheel. Goes for Dojo and return the 6 Samurai. So we're in a little bit of trouble. But the good thing for us is that 6 Samurais use different attributes. So there's already a wind, there's already an earth. In the graveyard, we only have to worry about 4 other attributes, and any of our monsters can become any attribute. So as long as we have 4 monsters, we can summon this Doriado. Very surprising for me that he destroyed the lap instead of just going for the Molehu. But I'll take that. Now I get to keep a Molehu. We're gonna flip that Shien face down. Made that a dark. We can't attack this turn because we searched last turn, which is fine. We have double Doriado at 3,300 attack. Once again, after he commits the attack, we're gonna activate Molehu's effect. Instead of flipping him face down, we're gonna flip one of our monsters. All we're doing is putting a different attribute in the graveyard. So he just runs into a 2900 Molehu, loses the Shien, and it's time to go all in. Activate ties. I messed this up right here. The Makani should have been a light instead of a dark, because there's already a dark on the graveyard. So I don't get a full boosted Doriado, but that's fine. 4800 is enough. Fuma is going to special summon Kizaru, search a legendary secret of the 6 M's. We're going to destroy the other Fuma. That's going to summon Inishi. That's completely fine, because we can chain or Molehu. On the other face-up 6 Samurai, you have to control another 6 Samurai monster in order to activate and resolve. So because this is going to resolve when this guy is no longer face-up, the effect does not resolve properly. So none of my monsters get bounced back, and we get rid of the Inishi threat. Most my opponent can do is, you know, dual wield, something like that. He goes for double-edged sword technique, gets another Shien, activates United. We're gonna see double Shien yet again, but even through beatdown, what is he gonna do? I have 2 Doriados, I have Molehu, and an unknown back row. You know what? We're gonna go ahead and negate that summon using our Doriado effect, banishing 3 monsters. The Shien never hit the field, so he can't even try to protect with the Fuma in the grave. It just gets destroyed. He ends his turn because he knows he can't do anything, so he's gonna lose the 2500 because of double-edged sword technique, and we get the win. So fun, man. But again, do I think Doriado makes Elementsabers better than they are on their own, or with Neos, or with Invoked? Probably not, but it's definitely a very fun take on this already very fun archetype. And yeah, I was glad to use it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, like, comment, and subscribe if you want. And until next time.